Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And seeing as this is 3MB, we're proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that amazing deal of 50% off your MOT when you let them know that you're a Rambler. Call them now on 0114 322 446. Thank you to VMB Auto Centres for their continued support of the Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What's happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is 3 Mardy Blades. And you may have seen me just recently. I've just been watching the Leicester versus Sheffield Wednesday game, and that was a close call. That was a game that we thought was going to be a heavy, heavy win for Leicester against a heavily depleted Sheffield Wednesday. It turns out they put up quite a good fight, to be fair. 10 men, Sheffield Wednesday. Put up quite a good fight because Barry Bannon got sent off. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And they got a last-minute winner, or in the dying minutes, a bit of fast love from the David Luiz lookalike, Mr. Fass. Can't remember his first name, so I'll have to call him Mr. So, yeah, he's put him 2-1 up in the dying minutes. And Sheffield Wednesday lose on the first. So that is some silver lining to us. And yes, that may be sad, but we're clinging on to anything this weekend, aren't we? Because the 3 Mardy Blades have every reason to be Mardy tonight. It was an absolute shocker of a performance from Sheffield United yesterday. I moped about it on 90 after 90 last night. I have had some sort of time to recover today. I've had a day out at Rivelin Valley with my family, and then I've come back and watched Leicester just scrape past Sheffield Wednesday, which put a little bit of a wry smile on my face. But tonight is the night. We are going to see what the boys think about it. We're going to talk to the Man Mountain and Dave the Nose, see what they make of yesterday's performance. And after that, after we've dissected it and gone through it and analysed everything that we want to talk about, we're forgetting about it. Bristol City is done. It's in the books. And we're not going to talk about it again. Or hopefully not talk about it again after that, because you can only move forward. It's one result. A lot of people are saying this. I understand it. The concerns for me come with the manner of the defeat. We knew, and I was an advocate of putting Sidney Peck and Gus Hamer together in the midfield. That did not work at all. Sidney Peck is not a 6, and it was heavily exposed in that position. I thought he did the best job he possibly could. I'm not blaming Sidney for the result at all, but we had no one to screen what was a very weak and vulnerable defence. I thought Tyler Bindon did okay. These are all points I touched on 90 after 90, but Reece Norrington-Davies, what has happened to that boy? I feel so sorry for him, but he is no longer an asset to this football club, in my opinion. Femi Sariki just licensed to get forward and never get back. Andre Brooks. People are talking about the centre-backs, and I understand that. And that is a clear, glaring hole in our team. We need that position. That is the priority position. But the right-hand side needs an awful lot of work, and we also need a really strong central midfielder. Now, Samari might be that man, and he might not be match fit or ready yet to play, which is why he didn't make an appearance yesterday. But if he's not that man, or even if he's the only man that can do that job of a ball winner, surely you've got to prioritise centre midfield as well now. So, loads to talk about, loads to get into. We're also then going to look forward to the Birmingham City game in the Cup. What do you do? Previously, we were advocating playing to players like Tom Cannon, who were on the periphery, and other players who were on the cusp, like Ryan One. But do you do that now, or do you just go with your absolute strongest 11 that you want to play against Swansea and try and get a little bit of rhythm into this side? Because we looked really bad yesterday. I thought we looked... The first 10 minutes, we looked completely clueless. I think the rest of the first half could have been very different. And we forget, I think, just because of the result and how it panned out, that we were very good going forward for the last half an hour of the first half. And after that, second half, two quick gut punches to us. Goal 3, goal 4 for them. And heads were down and attitude seemed off. Loads of things to get into. So let me welcome on the boys after I've rambled on for a little bit of time. First up, it's Paul the Man Mountain.
This is the view from the mountain with a heart so pure it's astounding. Man Mountain, strong and true. What a man, what a view.
What a man, what a view. How's it going, pal?
Oh, great, pal. Yeah, great. After yesterday.
I know, mate.
Oh dear, falling off our little cloud into the realms of reality.
I know, mate. I am keen to hear your view, and we will get into it, no doubt. But we'll do it as a trio because Mr. National Radio is joining us. We've got radio royalty, the man who's just coming fresh off his appearance on 5 Live again. It's Dave the Nose.
Dave the Nose, he really knows where the wind, I know whispers blow. Smelly brain, he's in the know. Dave the Nose steals the show.
Brain.
Smelly brain himself, Dave the Nose. He really knows. Nori's killed that for me. He's killed that.
He has. Yeah.
How are you, mate? How are you doing?
All right. I've got a theory just before we get on to actually important things.
Okay.
What's going to happen here is because you and I have got the faces for Radio Jim, we'll get stuck with the Radio Sheffield and the 5 Live gigs. And
It's
when
already
Sky
happened, mate.
Sports want their poster boy and they want the
Mr. Moisturiser, who's just been moisturising before he came on.
Mr. Moisturiser himself, the Housewives' favourite, Paul, he'll be there. Jet it in.
He's got a face for a makeup chair, hasn't he?
Oh, boys, honestly.
I can't wait to see it.
As Jim likes to point out, I am the oldest. So
That's right.
Just a number in it, mate. Just a number.
So I'm told. Yeah.
So who wants to start, lads? I've obviously done my my little breakdown of how not just now. I mean, last night I had 90 minutes of it, sort of working my way through my own thoughts, really, and trying to calm myself down a little bit after what I thought was we knew we were going to be light, we knew we were going to be vulnerable, but I think nobody expected. I think a lot of us were saying we should have enough to get at least be competitive. I was thinking we get past them. I know a couple said, we might draw this game, but we were well beaten in the end. And where did it go wrong?
Do you want me to go, Dave? I don't mind going first. Well, I think at half time, I thought, I don't mind this. We were 2-1 down. I wasn't sure how. I thought it was an amazing free kick. I think it's really easy to be critical of the defending when you concede what have to be described as 2 very, very good goals from their point of view.
Yes.
A free kick which leaves our goalkeeper rooted to the spot. It's textbook. If you've got that technique and you can do that, fair play to Twine. It was fantastic. I thought the breakaway, and people can say, oh, we could have stopped him there. We could have done this, we could have done that in the build-up. I thought they took it really well and were really, really clinical. And I think that was the difference, really, between the two teams. If you look at it like that, I think they had very few chances, but what they did have was they took them, except for at the end when we're obviously a little bit dejected and not really. They
were clinical, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They were absolutely clinical with their attacking play. I thought we were the better side in the first half, in fairness to us as a football club. But if you've got a soft belly, this is sometimes you get rolled over and tickled, don't you? And I think part of the responsibility, if you look at the timing of the goals as well, so 5 minutes into the first half and 2 goals within 6 minutes of the second half, tells its own little story for me. The players weren't alert enough at the start of the game. Certainly, if you can't concede 3 goals in the first 6 minutes of 2 halves, it completely kills you. I feel for R&D, but he's definitely a busted flush at this level. I don't think he's a centre half by trade. Anyway, I think he's there because of the injuries that he might have had, and he can do a steady job for us. I can only think that Robinson's rocked the boat to be on the bench, really, in honesty. I know you don't rate him, and I know not all Blades fans rate him, but he's certainly a more accomplished centre-back than R&D. I reckon something's happened there for him not to be picked, and for him to be fit. And so when he ran on, I went, how can he be fit and not starting this game, in fairness? So that was a little bit of a mystery. I thought that it's the basics of, it's like football cliches, isn't it? You got to get through the first 10 minutes of any half to settle in and get going again. The things that worried me was the defending and that know-how and natural defending. So I think that Bindon was a little bit hung out to dry. I thought he played well. I thought he looked good on the ball. I would say that. And he certainly showed composure for a lad his age, considering it was his first game for us. I thought he can come away with some credit from that game. And I'm not too upset about him being part of our defence moving forward. I think the two either side who we put a bit of faith in Burrows, probably a bit more than we do in Sariki. You've got to stop crosses. You've got to defend 1v1. I thought that they were poor in that respect. Again, they always look decent going the other way. But they've got to know how to do the bread and butter stuff, the Gary Neville stop the cross stuff that would have really prevented some of these things. I'm always shaking my head as someone who's played football, and I played football a bit at centre half as well, not to this level, anywhere near it. But I know that when the ball goes in the box, there's usually one or two people that can score a goal, and that seemed to be forgotten with our defenders. I look at it, I see it all the time in football, especially at the professional level. It wasn't any superb movement to try and get away from your marker. They were just stood free for those 2 seconds, 3 and 4 goals in the middle of the box. And then the other thing that angered me was the response. We did not look like a team that was going out to try and avenge any sort of scoreline. I thought if we'd have played like we did in the first half, in the second, if we'd have nicked a goal back quite early and quite quickly, it could have been game on a little bit. We could have gone again. I thought with our attacking play and some of the stuff, although we weren't clinical, we played some really nice attacking football in the first half, but there was no response at all. I was absolutely bamboozled by some of it. And when you look at that defensive unit, man for man, what's most important for me right now is the response from the players, the response from the manager, and there has to be a response from the board. Because if they can look at that and be satisfied with what they've seen and seeing that we have been completely outplayed by a side that everybody thinks is going to be mid-table. And I think they've come with a game plan, Bristol. You've got to give them lots and lots of credit. They have
played well.
Executed a plan. Fantastic. Brilliant. And they're clinical in their finishing. And I thought they were great. Yeah, they could have had a couple more late on if they're with some better decision making and some lethal finishing. They could have made 5 or 6. We could have had 2 or 3 in the first half and probably should have. And they rode their luck at times. But the thing I liked about them was when they were defending a scramble ball in our box towards the end, they're throwing their bodies in front of things. They're celebrating like it's a goal when they've done some good defending. We need a bit of that, because I tell you now, without it, we are nowhere near it this season. Personally, I think R&D needs to go. I think if Jack Robinson chucked his toys out the pram, having been told that he's not in the first 11, I think he needs to go as well. Looking at Sam McCallum, who looked very, very poor for me in the second half, I don't think he's any competition for Burrows. And I think he needs to, for me, I'd start wielding the axe a little bit and making some real changes to that back four, because
we ain't got the bodies at the problem we've got, Paul. I agree with you, by the way. The problem we've got here is we may have an offer on the table for Jack Robinson that a lot of us, in usual circumstances, would snap their hand off, because a lot of us would have happily seen him go on a free. I'm not everybody in the fan base. I know that there's some that are split on it, and we've got reasons for our opinions on him as well. But a lot of us would have seen him leave on a free and replace him with what we deem to be a better centre-half in the summer. The current situation that we are in, the centre-backs available to us are Tyler Bindon, who probably starts in the side anyway, hopefully with a strong centre-back alongside him. But Tyler Bindon, then it's Jack Robinson or it's Reece Norrington-Davies at this moment in time. So you're right in terms of I would love to see Reece Norrington-Davies go and be replaced with somebody better. I would love to see Jack Robinson go and be replaced with somebody better. If that happens, we need 3 centre-backs. And it's just...
So, honestly, at this moment in time...
We're between times, though, aren't we? We've lost the Nell, and we will get a replacement for a Nell. but we're between that time, so we have to take the short-term pain sometimes, I think, if we're going to make these decisions to wield the axe, aren't we?
Well, you're right. You are right. You can't go into games with Sasnauskas, who's never played a game at the level, etc. You just can't do that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But what happens between now and the next league game? So what happens between now and then? I'm not bothered about Birmingham. I couldn't care less. If you're going to go for promotion, put out all your fringe players. I don't care about that.
You don't think it's worth? I mean, we can come on to Birmingham yet, but you don't think it's worth running out a close to first team to get some synergy there or anything?
No, I don't. I really don't,
Okay.
because I just feel like I don't want that as an excuse for next week. Honestly, the league is the priority, and it will be this season, and it has to be. I don't see why we'd do that. I think it'd be a big mistake. I personally don't think we can persevere with what we've got, and that means that them up there have got to get their wallets out, and they've got to start doing something. Because honestly, with Burrow, I think Burrows has his merits. I think Sariki has his merits. If you want him in this team, I think you've got to have 3 centre backs. Personally, I really do. I really think you've got to play 3, and then
the wing backs by trade, aren't they?
Them two as wing backs.
They're wing backs by trade.
Yeah, and if you want to crowbar O'Hare and Hamer into this team, I think that might be the only way that you can do it. Personally,
you can't do that now. You can't do that. You've got to get Barry in. Exactly right, Dave.
Well, yeah, but I think it'll be Barry or O'Hare potentially.
Really? Yeah,
I honestly think that those two as fullbacks. Are you really confident that with Burrows at left fullback and Sariki at right fullback that we are fit for this season?
No, I was banging this drum for all the summer that I think we should be a 3-5-2 side, or 3-4-1-2, or 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to do with it. But bringing in Louis Barry has ended all hopes of that formation, because Louis Barry is a left forward. He's not going to play through the middle because we've already got 2 players that can play in the 10. It's not going to happen. As much as we might want to see Burrows and Sariki as wing backs. Sorry, Dave. Go on, pal.
He wants to be out wide, Barry. There's no way he wants to come into that congested area.
Agree.
In the middle. He's just going to get blocked at every. You're nullifying what he's good at. It seems it's a pointless thing to do for him.
I think there's room for movement in that as well. I think there is room for movement with that, in terms of you want different types of options at the top of the pitch. Like with the 3 that came on, Oni and Tom Cannon. I'm worried. I'm a little bit worried. I'm seeing what I saw. I know Oni came on and Cannon came on in really difficult circumstances on Saturday, so I don't judge them for that. But what I do is, when he had the 3 of them, because they're all centre forwards effectively, all there and in those wide areas, they didn't really give us.
My dad said to me when Cannon came on, he was like, right, I'm going to watch Cannon now because I want him to do well this season. I'm going to watch him. So I said, no point. He's playing on wide right. It's not the true position that he's expected to be playing in. If he were coming on as for Campbell as a centre forward, absolutely right. I get you. Watch him in this new system and see how he operates. But you can't judge him on a right forward position. I know he's willing to play it because he wants to play, but he's not getting in front of Campbell in his natural position, which is where he needs to be challenging for. So, Dave, what's your thoughts on how we went, pal? Go on.
So I think I'm sure we'll come on to transfer window later on. I'm sure it's going to be a big topic. Now, I think it's clear where we're at with that. My problems yesterday, apart from what Paul said, so I don't want to sort of go over old ground there. I think the midfield concerned me. I don't think I'm worried that O'Hare and Hamer together in the middle. I'm worried that won't work. Then because at one point, more than one point, you'd end up with Burrows and Sariki bombed forward. Yep. It was almost like a front 6 or front 7 or whatever the numbers were, and we just looked like there was this massive. We got torn apart through the middle too many times. I've got to throw a little bit of criticism at the manager, and caveat it by saying it's the first game. We're going to make mistakes as we adapt to it, and he's going to make mistakes along the way. So we shouldn't judge the rest of the season or judge him on this. But one of the things that I remember coming out when we hired him was from, I don't know if it was from the Reading fans or the Hull fans. It might have even been in one of your videos about him not seeming to have a plan B. And I felt like we were under that with Wilder at times, where you'd get frustrated with him that all he'd do is when things weren't going our way, is swap the personnel, but not change, how we were set up or how we were playing. And 3-1 down. Well, 3-1 down, was it 55? Was it 15 minutes or 55? Or whatever it was when the third goal went in for them.
The third one were about 46 minutes, just after half time.
Okay, but at 3-1, at that point you think, right, we've got a problem here. We've got to change it up. We've got to do something different. And he didn't. And then when we got to the subs, it was, we'll stick McCallum at
right back.
So we'll stick McCallum at right back. We knew that, I think Robinson's going. I think that's. I haven't got anything to substantiate it with, but I've seen the rumours about the transfer request. It's all a bit weird. It's all a bit fishy. But that sort of change needed to happen for R&D's sake as much as the team. But then to bring Cannon and One on and stick them out wide was baffling for me. It was like, why aren't we? If you're going to write the game off, try something different. Don't just keep persevering with what's not working at that point. I think, again, without being too rash, I think we've judged One on pre-season and said he's played his way into first team consideration. I think he's miles off. I think he just looked, his touch. He just looked like when he got the ball, he didn't know what to do. Panicked.
He looked panicked, didn't he, when he was pressed?
He does. We can't rush him. There's a player in there. There really is. We've got to make sure we develop him properly. And for the team, we need to sort of look at it and go, if he's not ready, let's get him out somewhere. And again, we're adding numbers to the ever growing list of bodies that we need through the door.
Are we in bother, Dave? Do you think?
I think it's a big 2 weeks. I think it's a really big 2 weeks.
3.
Yeah, I'm sort of with I'm with Paul on Wednesday, the Birmingham game. I think there's very little for us to learn by putting the team out. I think we're better off writing that one off, and we've really got to be focused on next weekend. But if we're potentially looking at, another centre back coming in, another right back coming in, we're changing the sentiment. I mean, it's almost like they've got no time of learning and making a partnership. It's going back on. I feel like I'm going back on everything, and I'm open to a bit of told you so.
I'm ready.
We've gone into the season. And we're now the NL deal. I got why they did the NL deal like they did it. For us to not seem like we're any closer to, I could have forgiven going into yesterday with the centre back pairing we had if there was all sorts, and if Radio Sheffield were reporting it that we'd got that the next centre back was coming in for a medical or something like that. That we seem to be like it's not quite happened as quickly as we wanted. But we see there's nothing. There's not even a peep coming out that there's somebody close to coming in, and that's
there wants to be. There wants to be.
It's starting to be a concern. It's very. I mean, when was the last time that we'd got somebody come in and there wasn't a good whiff floating around everywhere that.
That's right. We tend to know about it before it happens, don't we? But we talked. The thing is that the thing that stood out to me was we talked, or I certainly did talk about. I think that appears to be a lot more balance in the squad now, other than the obvious deficiencies that we've got in defence that we all know about. But in terms of we were front loading with Bemba and Diaz and Raksak. There were all sorts of things last season where we were heavily stocked in certain positions and didn't have others. And I think we've always looked at the centre midfield and thought, particularly with Gus moving back there as well, you look at the quality we've got in centre midfield. You look at Gus Hamer, Ollie Arblaster when he comes back fit, Siddy Peck, we've now got Samare, there's Tom Davis to come back into the reckoning. And you think there's some really good players there, but what I haven't taken into consideration is the type of centre midfielders that they are. Because you cannot play Hamer and Peck together. That is now apparent. I was up for it in terms of when I made my team selection, but you've got to have a more defensive-minded midfielder in there, certainly when Gus is playing. because I know Peck can do a little bit of that, but Gus does very little. Or when he does come back, and he's not doing it in a disciplined manner. He's doing it because he's chasing the ball around the field. He was the one to give the free kick away for the first goal. A lot of people, Jamie Dumpling on a couple of his Ramble on the Roads, was screaming at him in pre-season for coming too far back and giving possession away. The one thing that Wilder did have, while he was out of position, I think a lot of people will say as a left forward, he was out of position. It was further away from the goal to make some of his clumsy challenges, and he didn't ever really put us in danger in that respect. If he's going to be allowed to drift wherever he wants from that centre circle, he's going to do more of that. There'll be more free kicks given on edge at box because of Gus Hamer if we allow it to happen. So there needs to be some discipline in there for somebody to be a ball winner. Go on, Paul. You want to make a point, mate?
Yeah, well, just to what you were saying there, what his performance yesterday reminded me of what Sam Allardyce said about Wayne Rooney when Sam Allardyce was quizzed on getting Wayne Rooney to stay in his position for England, and where do you want him to play and where are you going to put him? And he said, who am I to tell Wayne Rooney where to play? Because he was drifting back all over the show, coming into midfield, doing this, doing that. It stank to me as if Gus Hamer had a free role to basically go wherever he wanted, do whatever he liked, which is not dissimilar to what happens with people like Cole Palmer, but Cole Palmer has Caicedo and Enzo behind him and he was almost like floating about, look at me, I'm going to ping the ball 30 yards here, I'm going to play this ball here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We all know he's clumsy in the tackle. We all know he's going to give free kicks away. The manager knows it. We all know it. So you sort of, he's got to be really, really careful. It may have been a way that Wilder, in retrospect, was trying to keep him disciplined to a position almost, Gus, because putting him out on that left and letting him drift in a little bit, there's not too much damage done out there, is there?
Correct. And he still feels like he's got a free roll, doesn't he, in his mind? Yeah,
he's got that freedom to go because that's what you want. You want your best players to be able to express themselves. That's basically what being a good manager is: sussing out who your best players are and getting the most out of them. And that's kind of what was happening a little bit last season. But we all thought through the centre he'd be even better. But I feel like with him dropping in there, like you've just said, he's just got license to. I'll come and pick it up at centre half. The number of times I spotted him splitting the two centre halves, he was in between the two of them in that deep position there. If we think that's where his best position is, based on what we've seen, is he the man to sit in there and be disciplined? No, because he wants to go and attack as well. He wants to go forward. We want him on the edge of the box because he's probably the best striker of a ball we've got. So it's a tricky little conundrum for Sayers. The one thing about him positive about yesterday was it was yesterday, and we've still got 3 weeks of a window. And what I said to you about responses is this board and this manager and these players have all got to show us now what they're about. Because, if you look at the statistics for the game, Bristol were brutal. They were clinical. The stats don't suggest it was a 4-1 game. But goals change matches, and they scored all their clinical moments in all those critical moments at them key times. They took them. And fair play to them, because we didn't. When we were on top, you've got to score. When they scored their second goal, I was like, that is a really well-taken goal. And it was. When I looked back at it, it was a really well-crafted piece of football. But to think they scored them, we've been peppering them for 20 minutes, 25. We were all over them. And had to take one of those chances. They lived a bit of a charm where one just went past the post near me. It was literally this far off. It wasn't far at all. And they got a bit fortunate with that. But, I think that the scoreline hasn't helped the mood of the fans, and it won't do. But what it might have done is alerted the board, alerted the manager, because he'll be sussing out these players now, and will have been for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And like you said, in the heat of real competition, they have not got the defensive nous and discipline to stop what looked like 3 shots on goal, 8-10 yards from the goal, which good players are going to take all day long, especially those goals 3 and 4. And it always reminds me of something I used to say about know-how. And we spoke about experience, didn't we, Jim? I reckon Mepham has to be a big option now with what's left on his contract. We know he's good at the level. I know it's away from what we said we'd do, but honestly, Yeah, yeah. I said it to you. I did say it to you a while ago that
That's not what you said earlier this week. Actually, I don't think.
I think that you'll hear me calling for experience at one point.
Dave, do you want to come in here, Dave?
Last week, you are right. I said they've got a model, they're going to stick to it. And when we argued about what experience looks like. Now, I remember I used to watch. Yeah, you can shake your head. I said
it's all right. It's all right.
that we needed experience in this back four. I did.
Dave's not having it either, by the way. Dave's not having it.
Last week, I admit.
I think you've got to eat the humble pie, mate. I'm sorry.
No, I can't. I did say.
I'm prepared to, so I think you should as well.
No, I will. Last week, I'll admit that I said that if this is the model. No. I said if this is the model, this is what they're going to do. What does experience look like? I did say if it's a 21-year-old who can organise a defence and knows where to stand and knows what to do, that's different to someone who's 30. And we were arguing about what experience was and what it looked like. I remember.
Yeah, that was one element of the conversation. Yeah. You're right.
But age does not necessarily equal.
Correct.
Right. Correct. So I used to have this argument with people about Phil Jagielka because obviously I'm a massive fan of Phil Jagielka as a football player because of what he did for Sheffield United. He's Sheffield, it's Sheffield United as far as I'm concerned. And when he used to play, I remember looking at a stat, and I've spoke about this before, when Jagielka played for Everton. So when he played for Everton, the expected goals for the other team went down by about 1.5 goals. It was unbelievable the influence that he had on that team.
Class player.
Class. Yeah. And played for England, and no one thought he was good enough because he wasn't. You know what do we say? The sex machine with the ball at his feet. But what he was a really clever and proper defender. It was the same with Morgs. Morgs wasn't a footballer in terms of he wasn't going to spray you a 40-yard ball and he wasn't going to dribble out from the back Maguire style. He wasn't going to do that. What he was going to do is win nearly every single header. He's going to plough through people. He's going to make sure that there's no easy game for anybody. And he's going to stand in the right spot. We all take it for granted that when people defend and they're stood close to their mark and they put their toe end on it and it goes away, we think, oh, no, that's all right, isn't it? But it doesn't grab any headlines, that stuff. This is about knowing where you need to be and how you need to do it. R&D is not a centre half. Bindon looks to be a really great football player. And I think he will be an excellent player, as in an all-round defender at some point. But we have got to get some people in and around this squad, especially at fullback as well for me, who know where to stand, the body position they need to have, how close they need to be to their marker, marshalling a unit of players, because those 2 goals in the second half just stank of naivety, like playing
doing some experience,
lesser players. Yeah, well, not again. Experience is what it is, isn't it? There'll be better 23-year-olds, and experience for me means experience of knowing where to be, not necessarily that you've been playing for 15 years.
But thing is, some fans have been poo-pooing like Ben Godfrey because he's on too much money. He walks into that side. Yes, he front crawls. He chuffing. He army rolls. He does whatever he wants to.
He got bombed out at Everton. I watched him for Ipswich, Ben Godfrey, and I tell you,
it must be rare because he hardly played. I think he played 2 games for him, didn't he?
Yeah, I saw him play. I did see him play, and there's a reason he played 2 games as well.
Because Jacob Greaves and Darragh O'Shea are in front of him. That's why he played 2 games.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't take Ben Godfrey? You don't think Ben Godfrey's an improvement in our side?
Well, he improves what we've got now, but that might not be enough. I don't think there's
Mepham's a great shout.
Mepham. Personally, I prefer Mepham to Godfrey.
Mepham on a permanent, yeah. And Mepham in terms of relative to the wages that he cost as well. I think he's probably a better shout.
I'd still go for maybe we've got to get, like Paul says, we've got to get the checkbook out. If there's an option to go for a Callum Doyle, I think we've got to go for it, because it's been as good as Bindon looks. There's going to be times as a young player where you need to take him out the firing line. If he has a couple of iffy games and he's under a bit of pressure, you need to be able to relieve him of that and just take him out for a bit.
I haven't seen one credible source linkers with Callum Doyle, and that doesn't mean we. I know, you're right though. They're the sort of players we should be in for, but if that may change, it doesn't mean we're not in for him. I haven't seen us recently linked with Chris Mepham either. It's us that are putting us together with players like this because it's players that we'd usually be in for. Charlie Hughes, Hughes, yeah.
Even if we went for Mepham, we should still be going in. I think,
but if we went for Mepham, we should. But it's the whole striker conundrum, isn't it? Because if you brought Bindon into play, which you will have done,
you can go to the 3 then if you want to, can't you?
I'll tell you where.
You wouldn't go 3 at the back, would you?
The biggest problem as well, now, boys, is that what we thought would be our fullbacks, I don't think they're up to it. As a 4, I don't think they can do it.
I think it's too early to write Burrows off, but we've been talking for ages about Siriki not being defensively disciplined enough.
Burrows, I think, was told that was part of his job, was because he was further forward at times last season, and staying there.
To be honest, when we're on top though, it worked. It's just you leave yourself so vulnerable behind. Whereas Siriki didn't have the same success because Brooks couldn't give him the same that Barry could give Burrows. So I think there's loads of work to do. That were another thing I was going to ask you. How much work do you think we need, Dave?
2. Well, I think we're looking at 3 centre backs because, as I said, I think Robbo goes, but 2 if he doesn't. A right back. I do think we need a right winger. I stand by it. Andre Brooks is not a right winger.
Yeah.
So we need a right winger.
He's not either.
And I'm concerned with One being the backup option off the left.
Centre midfielder as well, maybe.
Yeah, and I still like that.
So nearly everywhere on the pitch. And Paul's on about McCallum as well, which.
But look, let's be honest. We're probably going to have to accept that there's a long list we could make. We're not going to get it all.
You can't have McCallum in a 4. You can't have McCallum in a 4.
Yeah, but we might. We say you can't, but we might be, unless we end up looking at this another centre back who can play left if required, play the left back position. I can't see us going out and bringing 7 bodies in between now and the end of the window.
7's a lot, I know, but I think there is priorities obviously in there. Personally, I think if you want to play Burrows and Siriki, for me, you almost have to go to a 3, and then you have to have them as a 3-4 and a 3, and however that pans out.
I don't mind it, but you are taking Barry out of your team, then, aren't you?
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily.
Where does Barry play in your team then?
So you could have Barry. You could have a 3. You could have a 3 across the top of the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can have your 4. So two in the middle, Samari and Peck potentially. You have your Siriki and your Burrows, and then you have 3 centre halves, and then you have 3, and that
3-4-3.
Yeah, 3.
You've got to sacrifice probably O'Hare then, or he goes on the right.
Yeah, well, I think O'Hare can come in and out of that top 3. It includes Gus as well, who I think doesn't need to be given any burden in terms of going that way. He needs to do his pressing, obviously, but he doesn't need to. And again, what that looks like is sometimes you can't envisage it, Jim, but the shape of the team can change all the time.
I get that, mate.
If you got 3 at the top of the pitch, it doesn't mean that he always has to be a left winger. He has to be. Right winger.
I know, but I think O'Hare were our best player yesterday.
Yeah, and you can keep O'Hare in there, but you could play the Christmas tree. You could have O'Hare and Hamer behind Campbell because that combination was what got us the goal in the first place, and that can work as well, especially if you've got your 2 fullbacks, Burrows and Siriki, bombed on as far as they should be. So they almost become your wingers, and then you've got you do like a Christmas tree. So you have your 2 in the centre, you have the 2, and then the 1 at the top. If you understand what I'm trying, for me,
worst Christmas tree I've ever heard. To be honest,
can I just?
Is it all right? Yeah.
It's like a 4 and then a 2 and then a 1.
No. Think about it: a 3 with a 4, and then a 2 and then a 1. That's
not a Christmas tree. Like. Christmas tree's a 4-3-2-1. Isosceles triangle.
Yeah, but it's got the thing at the base, hasn't it? Like that, so it goes like that.
Just float something out, yeah.
Float away, you floater.
Last season when we had Gilchrist as that more, I know he was a centre back, moved to right back, but that more solid-minded right back,
defensive-minded fullback. Yeah.
Would you feel more comfortable then allowing Burrows to bomb
Yes.
forward, knowing that you're not going to have both of them? Is
Yes.
it, or is it a case of going, look, you both can't go at the same time? One of you is going to have to hold a bit.
Thing is, though, if you do that, there's a couple of things, because you can say we had a 4 at the back and Gilchrist was our right back. When Burrows goes forward, they can all shuffle across and become that back 3 that Paul's talking about. Whoever's playing, Bindon in the middle, say we get another left centre half, and Gilchrist acts as that right centre back that he likes to be. So, like in possession, we can sometimes shift to that back 3, and Burrows bombs on. But we are then stuck in that circular sort of vortex, if you like, where we can only go down the left hand side to attack that way. We've done it before.
Maybe tactically, you need somebody.
Yeah, we've done it before when we lost Jack O'Connell in the 3-5-2. That's exactly right. There were only Bash then, weren't there, that could do down the right hand side. We became very predictable. So that's, in one aspect, that's how you could get to teams. Yeah, you could do that way, but I think we'll soon be found out if that becomes our main route of attack. I for ages I have liked the thought of a 3 at the back and Burrows and Sariki being wing backs, like Paul's talking about. But I think the ship has sailed, and I know you can in game change tactics and bring on a centre half if you want, and take off Louis Barry or whatever you might do. I just think we're not in a position for luxury changes like that at the moment. We need to nail down an identity of a formation, really, and I think wingers is the way forward with that, in the way that they've built it, not the way that I would have it, but the way they've devised this squad.
If you want to play a 4, Jim, if you want to play a 4 across the back, which is
I think we're wed to it, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I want to. I'm saying I think because we brought Louis Barry in, we will struggle now to move away from it.
Okay, but I think if you're going to play 4, I think there's only one of our defenders I'd be happy in there, and that's Bindon. I think Burrows,
I think you're selling Burrows a bit short. I think Burrows did well last season.
Yeah, we're all right last year. Up until losing
one game,
our defence was immense.
I'm not writing Burrows off at all. I really like Burrows as a player. My trouble is in those wide the defending that needs to get done. Possibly Burrows can go in as a 4. Maybe that works. Maybe for me that. I think he's better on as a wing back because I think he looks way better going forward. I think the trouble we have is we've got to get centre backs and a right back who know how to defend. Also, and again, I want some competition for Burrows as well. I want some competition for him because I honestly,
I don't think we're getting it.
We want it all over, don't we? But we probably want competition to some degree for Cooper. But
yeah, I think, and we can come on to Cooper in a minute. But I honestly think Burrows, like Alfie Gilchrist did last season as well. I think last season when he had an accomplished player close to him, I'm not talking about Jack Robinson at this stage, but when Harry Souttar essentially was in the defence and he was talking all the time to the back line, Burrows looked great. Alfie Gilchrist looked great. This is what I'm talking about in terms of the call for experience. And Harry Souttar isn't a 31-year-old, but he could have easily been the captain of our side. He carried himself like a leader. He spoke along the back line. He was a dominant force in the defence. We've got nothing even close to that. I know he's a bit of a unique frame and character, but we've nothing like that in terms of leadership in the squad. We looked at the squad yesterday. No Jack Robinson in the side, who is the club captain, embarrassingly, but he's the club captain. And who is going to wear the armband? Well, we all came to the conclusion that it was going to be Gus, not because he's a leader, because he's the best player, and that's poor that you can't pick out a leader out of that. You look through that 11 and tell me who stands out as a captain, a traditional old school captain. And I know we move away from that in the game a little bit, but there is no one. There's no Chris Morgan in there. There's no Billy Sharp. There's no one to lead this dressing room through stormy waters that a transitional period will give you. And I think when it was
Campbell.
I give it Peck.
Peck, who's had one full season. Tyrese Campbell, who's himself has been through significant trials and tribulations, to be fair. But I think that's probably a strong shout. Peck will definitely be a captain of the future. But Campbell, I'm never keen, and this is just a preference, but I'm never keen on a centre forward having the armband or a goalkeeper personally. But that's just
where we're at.
It's where we are. Yeah. The other thing I would say is the other evidence of us not having a leader in this side. The biggest thing that stood out to me yesterday was when that fourth goal went in. Not everybody, but you could see the air go out of the team, and you could physically see some of them heads down, and sort of O'Hare kept running, and there were certain players that will keep making token runs. But Gus Hamer was the one that stood out to me first and foremost. That looked like he just, well, game's gone, hasn't it? So why are we bothering? It had gone, Dave, but you can't down tools mid game. That's not.
Yeah, but I don't think we down tools in the sense that we just didn't.
Did we ever look like scoring after that fourth goal went in? Ever? And there were 40 minutes to play.
I don't think you can say we down tools. You were up against a team who were 4-1 up and didn't need to do the things that you do.
No, they didn't. So there were. That's why we had more possession by a country mile than them, because they naturally, you subconsciously even you take your foot off the gas when you get a 3-goal cushion. So we're going to be able to come on to them, and they're going to pack up a little bit, and that's fine. But with the attacking threat we had in the first half, we should have enough confidence and belief in ourselves that we can go and trouble them at least.
Yeah, but, I mean, at 4-1,
yeah, all the fans think the game's gone, but you don't want, with half an hour to go, people are leaving ground. You don't want people to think that it's gone completely. If we get an immediate goal back after that fourth goal, it at least lifts everybody and makes you think maybe there's a chance. I'm not being delusional by sort of saying that, and I know I'm playing devils a little bit, but I was really disappointed to see the lack of commitment to the cause. Really, that really annoyed me yesterday.
If you're on the pitch and you go 4-1 down and you look across and your manager's not offering you anything to change it up,
how do you know that? How do you know that were happening?
Well, because nothing changed, did it?
No, but you're saying, you mean in terms of physical changes, like substitutions?
Anything. Did you see them look to try and do anything different? Even the attack we were doing, we were trying to do it the same way. I'm not blaming. What I'm trying to say is, I don't like. I remember in Premier League, it was really down in tools, and when teams had scored, a few, it were like basically, we parted the waves and went, go and score as many as you want, lads. We're not bothered anymore. We just can't wait for the final whistle. I don't think
get us down. Get us relegated. We'll start again.
I don't think it was as bad as that. I think
I don't.
This first game of the season, this not fully match fit. You see fans going out. You hear the noises. You hear your centre back who's clearly struggled, getting almost cheered off. That we're taking him off. I'd just draw a line under that side of it and say that let's forget about that. If it happens continually, then it's a problem.
Yeah, the only way that I can draw a line under any of that is if the people who can get their finger out, if they can turn around and give us a performance next Saturday.
Yeah,
if they can go in the market and go and get a couple, they need a couple this week.
Yeah,
they have to go. Stop messing about. Here's some money from the money that we've made sales from. We can see it right in front of us. We can't go to battle with what we've got. We thought we might be able to.
Yeah.
The season has tricked us and tricked the manager into thinking that we can go to war with what we've got. Robinson's clearly thrown his toys out. Something's happened because he should have started if he was fit to start. There's something happened there. He's been brought on as a last resort because Davis is miles and miles away.
He's gone, hasn't he?
Come on.
I don't mean Reece has gone, because that's the thing. I think Reece has gone as well, but I think Robinson has literally gone. I think I'd be surprised to see him play another game for us, to be honest.
Well, but R&D won't play for us again.
But if that's the case, if we think Robbo's going to get sold so he don't play, and R&D was so poor that he won't play again, what's the team on Wednesday night?
Well, I don't care. Sasnowskis. I couldn't give a monkeys about Wednesday night. For next Saturday. We need 2 defenders in.
What if we don't get them, Paul? So one of them's going to play, aren't they? R&D or Robinson's going to play next Saturday.
Well, they have to, Jim. They have to. They've got to. They can't. If Robinson's down tools, if Robinson said I'm going because I'm not part of the first 11, so I want to leave. If he's done that, if that's his attitude, get rid of him. Because we can't have people like that. That is poison in this squad.
We did same with Anel, and look what happened. We did say. I'm not saying Anel down tools, but he wanted the move. Go on, Dave.
We've all heard the rumours about what he's like. We've all seen firsthand what the bloke can be like.
Robinson, I know.
Yeah. So if he's decided he wants to go and he's going to make it awkward, I don't think Anel made it as awkward in that sense. I think Anel's the type that would have.
I agree. I think Anel would have Probably not liked it, but would have got on with things. If we'd have been awkward about his transfer.
Sander did. He wanted to leave, and he, to be
Well,
fair to him,
Well, this is the next alarm bell as far as I'm concerned. The next big alarm for me is that.
Speaking of bells,
there he is.
Go on, sorry, pal.
That reminded me. It reminded me the attitude, Cooper's reaction when they went through towards the end, and Matey skied it. He had basically Ronnie would have finished it like 9 times out of 10, and he skied it over. Cooper's face, and he was shaking his head. You could see he was like, "What on earth is going on here? How is it that easy to get at my goal like that?" That is a worry, because if someone comes for him, that at this point, if Sheffield United's board do not get their finger out and show the club, show our best players that we intend to make a fist of it and do it fairly quickly, players like Hamer, players like Cooper, they'll be saying to their agents, go and sound out who's interested. Go and tell them my head's ready to turn. Because if you think you're if you're those players in this team right now and you see the board sat on their hands after that performance, we all know that we're short. The manager knows we're short. If nothing happens, Jim, honestly, the rot can set in very, very quickly. And it reminded me of Sander Berger on that Stuttgart game. I remember his face, looking around the pitch with his head on a swivel, looking like he was like, what are we doing here? How are we going to the Premier League? We're getting absolutely ran ragged by these lads. How are we doing this? And it was only a week later he was down the road. And I'm telling you now, we need to be really careful, because if we don't get our fingers out and do something about this defence right now, they could easily just go, we're not going to be competitive this year. Get me gone, get me down the road for me big pay rise. What am I stopping for? Because this is football, mate. This is what happens. If they believe that, I've never seen Cooper's body language like that at all, ever. I know we haven't been turned 4 before when he's been in goal. But
never seen him lose his rag before. He threw. He pushed their striker out of the way when they were. He was slowing down a free kick.
Yeah,
that's fine. No. But it was his face. It was the.
What I mean is, I've never seen him. He's normally so
calm.
Cool, isn't it?
Well, he's angry. His reputation is stellar. Yeah. It is stellar in this division, and he will take that 4 goals he'll take it personally.
Yeah, but he didn't cover himself in glory. I'm not saying he were to blame for them all or anything like that, but I don't think he had his best performance either. It's a collective blame, I think, to be honest, for yesterday. Tyler Binden did what he could.
Line of defence. I think if he manages to stop a couple of them, he's hero. And you've got Cooper stopped it being heavy, or Cooper stopped us losing that. I think it's just. And
in times gone by, he would have done that, wouldn't he? That's just a bad day at the office for everyone, I think.
I don't think it was.
Number 3 was the only one, Jim. Number 3 was the only one that I thought I could have expected him to save it. Number 4 was very unlucky.
Yeah, it
was very well taken, and no one stops the free kick. Nobody.
Yeah. So, I know. I heard some people saying he should have done better with free kick. I don't think he can. I think he offers him that side and says, if you can put it in that top corner, then it's yours. And I think if he stood on the other side.
I noticed before they were taking it, there were a few of them who were doing that to try and see what was going on.
Yeah. Somebody said as well that it were. I think
but like Henderson today in the cup final with his cap on, because why wasn't he wearing a cap? These things have got to be there and good to go, aren't they? To be frank. Yeah. And I'd be worried now. I wasn't worried before, but I'd be a little bit worried. I think the board have got to now go and send a message to the fans and the top players in our team that they want us to be competitive. And that means getting some brass out and chucking it at that defence, because I'm telling you, I'd have 4. I'd get rid of Robinson straight away. If that's his attitude, we've been paying him for long enough. I think if he's decided he's chucking his toys out because he's been told he's not first choice, get him gone. Just get him gone, because players like that will rot that dressing room. R&D's nowhere near it.
I think he's been doing that for a while, if I'm honest.
I think we need 4. I really do. But I think we need 2 this week. That's what I think we need. And I think that the board have a responsibility now to make something happen, to make a big signing happen. We haven't had a marquee signing. We've accrued all this money. We've took loads off the wage bill, absolutely loads, and we'd be taking even more off if Robinson disappeared. The board have got to show their intention with this club, show the fans and show the top players that they mean business. Honestly, it is so obvious what we need, And if they ain't got it in him to go and pick up the phone and say, get him down here, let's get this deal done. Let's meet him somewhere in the middle and maybe pay through the nose slightly for 1 or 2. I don't care now. Something needs to change because otherwise we are going to be way off it by the time it gets sorted. If it gets sorted.
I'm just going to look at a few comments. Lee's unfortunately saying he's taken some stick for his opinion, and he was proven to be right. He was saying he wanted to say thank you to Brian. He's tried to be kind and open for being kind, open, and reasonable after being called a pig and threatened with violence. If anybody's threatening anybody with violence, then you're not welcome anywhere near here. That's not what we're about. Lee has an opinion that when he says here proven to be right, is voiced in the right way his concerns about the performance and
even if it's wrong, don't matter.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's not.
No.
I don't think that'll have been from here, Lee. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know whether people have contacted you away from here, but I've not seen anything in the chat because we won't have it. We won't have it. Right, I'm going to try and get to some of these comments. Again, apologies to anybody that I can't get to because there have been so many comments and we're here to discuss, and we'll feed off some of your comments now, but we are here to discuss what the lads think, really, in terms of this, because I've had my say with you guys on 90 after 90. We literally have the worst defence in the league. Our owners have ruined the club already, says Hyder. The calibre of players we need to sort out this mess, our new owners can't afford. We don't know. They can afford it. It's whether they want to put it in into the club pile. Diane says, did you notice Peck limping the first 5 minutes and spending the first half running it off, and Gus was off his game, probably playing in the wrong position? I did notice Peck go into a heavy challenge and then take a little while to shake it off. I did see that. Gus being in the wrong position. What are your thoughts, lads? I like him in the 8, but I don't think he had any discipline in that position at all. I think he's in the 8 to be looking towards the opposition's goal. If he didn't come past the bottom half of the centre circle, I wouldn't be bothered. It's a bit like the older Delta apt that Warnock used to talk about. You just stay in the opposition's half and we'll give you the ball, because he's good enough to do something. And I'll be honest, he's not consistent enough to be that reliable to do something with it at the moment. I think he's a great player and we hold him to a higher regard than anybody else.
Probably like Suter, I think he maybe needs that partner. And this is no slight on Peck, but, second season of football and everything. He maybe needs that partner who's more like telling him, don't. Stay there, or, if he's just helping him a bit with, but he's a maverick, isn't he? He's, that's maybe where he needs to be part of a flat 3, where if he goes off and does his thing, he's got 2.
2 need to be in there. Essentially, that's him being the 10, innit? And that's Callum O'Hare's job.
Not necessarily as high up. It's more just if you want to go and cause problems, go and cause problems. We'll cover you. We've got it.
Was anyone concerned with why Samari didn't come on?
Curious.
Yeah, curious is probably the best way to put it, Dave.
Would he not have been the answer to half the problem based on what we know of him?
Which is what Dave. I agree with Dave on in terms of not having a plan B, because you see that we're getting overrun in midfield, and you've got a ball winner, alleged ball winner. We don't know.
It's got to be fitness, hasn't it?
Got to be fitness. It will be.
How many subs did we make? 1, 2, 3, 4.
McCallum, Cannon, Boney,
R&D.
Yeah, R&D for Robinson.
There's no reason not to have done it.
McCallum's a nice kid. I can't have him back full ever.
I'm surprised they didn't ask him, if I'm honest.
Daz says he 100% agrees with Man Mountain about the cup game. Just forget about it. Gary says, "Hi Jimmy, I can see Gus and Cooper going up the Blades, up the Ramble." I mean, Man Mountain's just talked about his concerns about Cooper potentially. I don't think Cooper leaves.
Not yet. Not after one game.
I think not after one game, but I think it depends what happens now, Dave. I really do.
Maybe so. And I wouldn't say after next weekend either.
I don't think Cooper leaves this summer. What if
where he goes now? I think maybe the potential avenues that we'd be worried about have closed a little. He's not going to go and be number 2 somewhere.
I don't think Cooper goes. I think the question is now, and it's hypothetical. I don't want anybody to latch onto this and think it's definitely happening, because I don't necessarily think it will. And in fact, I don't think it will. We've talked about this all summer, but if Gus went, and we got all the money, say it's 15 million quid to invest in the squad. Are you okay with that? Is anybody okay with that? In terms of, we know what he can give to us, but is there a slight leaning towards accommodating Gus within this team?
I'd rather, and I hate to say this, and I'll get lamped for it. Sorry, Mr. V.
No.
I would rather, if I had to lose one of the two, I'd rather lose O'Hare for 15 million.
Well, O'Hare's not being linked away, is he?
No, but so
if the offer on the table, I'm hypothetically giving you 15 million quid for Gus, who turns around and says, in a hypothetical world, if Gus says, yeah, I'm up for going. I'm not.
I wouldn't want him to. I don't want him to go. I think we just need to play to it. We need to play to his strengths, but not to the detriment of the rest of the team.
He's the champ. Yeah, but how do you do that? He's the championship player of the season.
You probably have to either shoehorn O'Hare on the right or take him out of the team and play with that three.
So O'Hare is the sacrificial lamb in keeping Gus on top form and getting the best out of Gus Hamer, essentially. Even though Cov got them playing together.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know how they
You need a Samari. You need somebody who's got the discipline to stay there.
And what happens when Blaster comes back and we've got Blaster and Peck and neither of them?
That's my next bit in it, because so that is like Paul's saying. I think Paul's right, by the way. You need a Samari type or a Vinny Souza type, essentially, is what we're saying, to be the disciplined one to sit and clean up and do the dirty side of the game, to give it to Gus and Cal. City Peck is the sacrificial lamb there, which is unfortunate for City, but that's how the team's going to work out. When our Blaster's back, who is, in my opinion, a level above City Peck at the moment, that is a real conundrum, because you don't want to stifle his development. Our Blaster has the potential to be the most valuable player in this squad in terms of asset and money that we will eventually get for him, because he's that good a player. We forget about it. And I know it'll take some time, and he might not be back for a little while, and it might take him some time to get back up to speed. But a fully fit and firing Ollie Arblaster has to get in this team. Has to, because it makes everything tick in the centre for me.
You do need a squad, Jim. You can't just... It's
you
not
do,
like,
mate,
we've got 11 players, and if you're in it, you're in, and if you're out, you're out. It doesn't work like that.
So, yeah, but what you're saying, unless you think Arblaster can do the Samari or Vinny job, then you're picking between Arblaster and Hamer every time then, aren't you? That's a luxury.
I think you've got to pick between Gus and O'Hare.
So Gus moves further forward into the 10. In usual circumstances.
If we're putting a label on it, yeah, but I don't see it. I see it as more as a midfield.
See, this is why I'm bringing up the Gus conversation, because there has been talk about him going. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to reiterate that. I don't think it's going to happen this window. But does he congest the conversation a little bit? Because you take Gus out of the best player, by the way, out of all of us. So I'm not advocating selling him. It's a question for peak interest.
You find the way to make it work, and that isn't by going, well, if you sell him, it gets rid of the problem. You find the way. I just
think we are building a team to accommodate Gus Hamer sometimes.
You have to if you had.
But it's not working.
I'll drop on your doorstep.
But it's not working, is it, Dave? That's the thing. If we're accommodating him and he was the star man every game and he were making things happen, it's not working like that. He is sometimes a passenger in games. And if you look at what happened against Bristol City, you could argue we're a bit of a liability against Bristol City. But what? You do take him off, but he's supposed to be best player in the team, and we're supposed to be building around him.
Supposedly, of it, he is the best player. He's the best player in the team. He's the only thing separating this squad from being a upper mid-table team to being a team that can go for things. We were
nowhere near being a team to go for things.
Ty Campbell was our best player, and he was having a game where every shot he was shanking it off into Rose Ed. You go, it's not his game. Take him off and put somebody else on.
But if that were happening 8 to 10 times a season, like it does with Gus, then you wouldn't consider him your best player, would you, Campbell?
Games.
What's that again?
8 games out of 46, he doesn't have his best game.
Would you say Gus Hamer were absolutely outstanding most games last season?
In comparison with without Gus Hamer last season, we're nowhere near third.
And I agree with you. I am playing devil's advocate a little bit, but do you not think sometimes other players suffer because of, like Peck, for example, yesterday had to be sacrificed so that Gus Hamer could play his best game, and he didn't play his best game, didn't Gus Hamer?
Then the manager's not planned
Exactly. So why ain't Samari?
It's not about. It's not necessarily about. And he's got. This is going to happen. It's one competitive game, and he might come away from it after and think, do you know what? I got that wrong, and I'll tweak that, and I'll do that differently.
And also, Jim, we've said this 100 times. If Gus Hamer was doing what he was when Gus Hamer's at his best, if he did that every other game or every game, Jim, he wouldn't be here.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. But what I'm saying is, we're
of a top player.
So we are in the middle yesterday. Just and again, it's a raw example that I agree that Gus Hamer should be in this side. I just think it's a worthwhile conversation to have because nobody ever has the fact that because he's such a quality player, is there even a question of him ever coming out of the side? But Gus Hamer yesterday, you're not only sacrificing Sidney Peck to do the Vinny role, if you like, so which he's not au fait with, and I think he suffered because of it. He tried his best. You're also sacrificing a player in that 8 position because you look round half at time and Gus is at left back or he's at top at right wing or he's all over because he's no discipline in that position either. So not only is Sidney isolated in a position that he's not comfortable with screening that back 4, Gus Hamer's nowhere to be seen in middle either because he's got no discipline. So that is, yes, he's a brilliant player on the ball and can make things happen. And he had a part to play in our goal, which was so well worked. There is no... He's the championship player of the season. There is no doubt that he brings a lot of value to this team. And you can see why there's interest in him. And I don't want him to go. But my concern is that we sometimes become a little bit Gus Hamer FC. And I think we struggle to even get the best. If he could then be the man, like Tarab was for QPR back in the day, and takes the club by the scruff of the neck and gets you promoted, then that's fine because you have to rely on him and we'll do everything we can to accommodate him and work around it. Like Mitrovic was for Fulham, the main man, get everything central to what Mitrovic can do for you and get us up.
Right.
Gus Hamer doesn't guarantee you that.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But we know that yesterday it wasn't good. Okay, it wasn't good. But the one thing I want us to focus on here is those first 2 goals, right? I think those 2 goals go in against any team. So I think that free kick is unstoppable. I think the counter attack that they engineered, you can pull anything to bits and go, well, he could have defended that on the wing a bit better. Bindon was turned too easily. Where was R&D here? You can do that. You can analyze it, but that happens even with the players at the very, very, very top level. Okay, so I think that those 2 goals were very good goals. The only reason that we've lost this is because in those defensive areas, in the first 6 minutes of the second half, we have marked shadows rather than players.
And that pass that R&D made.
Well, yeah, that was a very, very risky pass. He hasn't hit it nearly hard enough. He's playing across. It's dangerous football that he's not good enough to pull off, let's face it. And he wasn't able to track his man and live with the pace of the guys that were around him. That's why we lost 4-1 yesterday. We don't have to I've taken a mallet to the back to the defenders because I just don't believe that Sariki and Burrows as fullbacks with 2 in a 4 works that well. I just don't think it works that well, and we know how good they are going forward. So I think the only way if you want them in your team is to have a 3, in my opinion. That being said, if you've got 2 very, very good centre-backs, which I believe Bindon could end up being, with, like you say, someone who knows the ropes a bit better, someone who knows how to position themselves. It was 2 big lapses of concentration. The attacking play was pretty good at times, but I just feel like the screen wasn't there. And I think that's what Samari's been brought in to do. We felt like it during the game. That's what he's been brought here to do. That's the profile of the player that we've brought in. I don't know if Gus or Peck were actually asked to do that during open play. I don't know if they had license. We don't know what the instructions are from Sayers, but they might not have been told to even do that role. And it does. I am a little worried with why Samari didn't even come on for like 20 minutes or something, just to break his duck, get a little bit of fitness, get used to the thing. I know it's not the ideal situation for a new player starting coming in at 4-1 down. I get that, but I'm a little concerned with why he wasn't deployed to go in and do that kind of job and why Sayers didn't see that. But that's just my opinion. But I just feel like this defense is the first priority. I don't think Gus is a problem, as in I don't think he's a luxury player that stands there with his arms out, just waiting for someone to pass him the ball. I think he works really hard. I think, yes, it looked like he'd been given a free role to do whatever he wanted, and I think that we paid the price for that slightly. I agree. But I don't think you can take Gus Hamer out of this team simply because he is a difference between us and a lot of teams in this league on many, many occasions. And yeah, you might be right. It means that other players have to be a little bit more disciplined in what they're doing, but it's worth it. I'd rather take Gus Hamer in that and have him on the pitch with the magic he's got in his boots, rather than saying to Siddy, who works ever so hard for us, love him to death, but if you say to him, right, you're going to stay there and accommodate our best player, because that's what everybody is doing, Jim. Everyone around every football team, although they're obviously in the top teams like PSG, you're not allowed just to stand there and just want the ball and stand still like Mbappe did. It didn't work, did it? But he's not a luxury in that sense for me. I don't think he's just somebody who's just stood there waiting for things to land at his feet and give him the ball in every scenario. I don't think he detriments us that much. He is a top player. But my worry is now we've got to try and make sure they believe they can get promoted, because if they don't, they'll be down the road. There's no loyalty in football.
No, there ain't. Roy saying Hamer is petulant, giving away free kicks. There's loads of comments in that I'm going to have no chance of even touching sides with him. So Dino says everybody leaving that ground was a total embarrassment. Get behind them when it's tough. Haven't done for ages. Cheering players off. What's all that about? Come on, Blake. I agree with this. Cheering when Reece Norrington-Davies gets... We've all talked about Reece tonight, saying he's not been good enough. And we're disappointed that he's not been good enough, because there was a real promising left-back in there when he got injured. And he's come through our system. He went out on loan and got a few games, came back and like earned his way into the team. Was a really good player for Sheffield United. Then got injured, had an unfortunate injury, and has not been the same at all. It's certainly nothing personal when we say this lad is not going to be good enough to play at the level we want to get to. That is football, and that is the business side of football. To cheer somebody off when they get subbed off is an absolute embarrassment from our fan base. And if you were cheering, then it's a really poor show from you, cheering that he got taken off. He was poor yesterday, very poor, I'd even say, and I think he was the obvious weak link in the side out of a lot of players that played poorly. But you cannot boo your own or cheer when your own, are taken off. It'll be embarrassing enough for him as a centre half to get taken off, because centre backs, 2/3 of the way through the game, don't get hooked unless they're having an absolute shocker. It's like subbing a goalkeeper. Unless you're changing formation, that just does not happen. So it's embarrassing enough, and then he has to walk past everybody while people have cheered him off. Poor. I'm not going to sit on that too long, but
some people will tell you different and tell you that everyone's got the right to stay or leave based on they've paid their ticket, they do what they want. I know what you're saying. I was shocked. I was actually really, really shocked, because it wasn't like with 3, 4, 5 minutes to go. It was 15 minutes to go, and there was 25%, 30% of the ground had gone. They'd gone home.
I know.
And it was like,
and people have got the right to that. I'm not against that at all either. Again, if you don't deem it to be good enough, and we were getting spanked yesterday, and we didn't really look inspiring in the second half or anything like that to look like we were talking about earlier. So if people want to leave on that, that's up to them. That's completely up to them, and no judgment from me. It's not my choice, but it's what they want to do. I do think I personally draw a line morally with like booing your own players or cheering them getting subbed off, because we're here to support the team. You might not agree with the appointment of Ruben Sellers, like Lee. Lee, who earlier on was upset that people were rightly upset that people have apparently been having a go at him for his differing opinions. But people can disagree with you, Lee, and I'm going to disagree with you here. If you think this isn't the manager, then I've no idea what to say. Like to sort of make out that everybody's daft, like I've seen in a few of your comments, because they don't agree with your opinion. I don't agree with your opinion either. I don't think it's just say. I think, like Paul says, Ruben Sayers has got some questions to answer about this performance. But I also think the board have got a lot of accountability for selling our best defender at the week of the start of the season and not having us ready to go for the first game. I understand, and I was an advocate of waiting to see what we did and waiting for better players to come along. But now is the accountability time, like Paul's talking about. So Paul were quite confident going into this game. He talked about how Ruben Sayers is a good coach. I'm sure you still believe that, Paul, and we will back the manager. You might not have agreed to sack Chris Wilder. I didn't agree with sacking Chris Wilder, but Ruben Sayers is here, and much like Reece Norrington-Davies were playing on Saturday, Ruben says is our manager, and we'll back him because we're Blades, aren't we? And we're back at win, lose or draw. We still come back for more. We sing it. We all sing it. Do we do it? So we need to back the team, the manager, the players on the pitch. I don't boo Jack. People know I don't like Jack Robinson as a player or a person, from what I know, and things like that. Actually, just from little bits that you hear. When he's playing for Sheffield United, I'll still cheer a tackle. I'll still want him to do well. I'll still, applaud him for doing well during the game because we support the team. So you might believe that Ruben Sayers is the problem, Lee, and that is absolutely your prerogative. And you may prove to be right. But to say everybody else is daft, like you have further up in comments, and there's no helping some of these people. I'm the only one that wants the club to succeed because I believe that Sayers isn't the man. It's just not true, is it? It's your opinion. It doesn't make it a fact. So never good enough for anybody to, threaten you or say nasty things to you about it because it's your opinion and it's welcome. But I don't agree with it, and we don't have to agree with it. And that's what this whole thing is about, isn't it? Just having chat about football and sort of going back and forth on things. I'm a Southampton fan, says Scum Army 249. Ruben Sayers struggles to pick up players when the fans turn. I watched it happen there. Something I wanted to address actually was this, because a couple of people mentioned it on 90 After 90. Dave, we'll go to you, pal. What did you make we were together watching this, the post-match scrum that happened in the centre circle? Now, we were watching quite closely. There were you, Aaron, Eki out, Sal and my dad were all watching because I was keen to see what it was about. And some people were concerned that it's embarrassing. It's another Phil Brown moment where he's rollicking him on the field. I thought it appeared to be a motivational sort of, don't worry, there might not be a lot of people here left, but for those that are, you go and you clap them and we're sticking together. I thought it was that sort of speech. I don't know how it came across to you. What were your interpretation of what Ruben Sayers were doing at end of game?
Very similar. I think it was before they've had chance to wallow in it and get the heads go down and walk off, down round and down the tunnel. I think it was get hold of it straight away.
Yeah.
Chat about it and walk round.
Don't become too dejected at all the empty seats.
I mean, he's a passionate guy, so I think it's going to be difficult for you to look at photos of it and really interpret what kind of message he was trying to put across. I don't see it. I don't think it's anything like the Phil Brown thing, which was embarrassing.
You can't have been happy with that reaction of the players on the pitch.
Yeah, but I imagine that would be something that if I was going to do it, and I'm not him, I appreciate that, but from a man management perspective, not being happy about the reaction of the players would probably be something I would raise on the debrief the day after, rather than when the emotions are at the highest. I think it would be a get hold of them and let's try and put it to bed as quickly as we can. Then we'll go back and do the post-mortem on the performance and the reactions, and a bit differently, rather than, particularly if you want to highlight certain players, doing it like that just wouldn't be the. He might have done, and if he has, I wouldn't agree with it, but that would be my way of going about.
Mrs. Mountain's got in on the comments on a ghost account. Blunt Yorkshireman says, Man Mountain talking total sense again. The owners need to grab the bull by the horns this week. Well said, Mrs. Mountain. Completely agree with that. Paul, what did you make to the centre circle discussion?
I don't know. I'm a bit flummoxed by Mrs. Mountain drive. I was like, is she canary here?
No, just a high praise for you indeed, mate. Blunt Yorkshireman always agrees, or often agrees with what you say. As do 3 or 4 people.
Yeah. I don't know. Proof will be in the pudding. Like you said, he knows. He thinks he knows what is going to motivate players. I think if Robinson's chucked his toys out, I think he's got to manage the morale at this point. He really has, because it's not the best thing to spread belief in the manager when what's happened on Saturday. And I don't want to make any excuses for what happened on Saturday at all, and I won't. But I actually thought if we'd have gone in at half time 2-0 up, I wouldn't have been shocked. I thought we were the better side by quite a long way in that first half. And I think that the way that it slipped away very quickly in the second, that was the most disappointing thing. That was the thing that he would have gone. Looking at that first half display, I was quietly confident we were coming out second half.
I was.
and we were going to come and do it.
Well, we'd not written the game off by any means at that point, had we?
No, I was chatting to some lads in front of me, and they said, do you know what? I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy with what I've seen from an attacking point of view. Yeah, we could have took 2 or 3 more. We could have, that last bit didn't quite come off for us. The goal was fantastic. We got done by 2 very, very good goals. Okay, that not that many in this division can pull off, frankly. I thought the second one was when you watch it again, it was very well worked. It was very fluid in the way they went through the gears. Goalie didn't have a chance. I thought we shouldn't have been 2-1 down at half time. I felt like we should have been a goal to the good, at least on terms. And I was really surprised. And it was just those 2 big sucker punches, and goals change games. When it's very difficult to say to someone, if you go in, you come out after half time, you're 2-1 down, you've played quite well, and the manager's probably said to him, if you keep doing what you're doing, we're going to be back in this in no time, and then probably go on and win it. And I did honestly think that was going to be the case. I thought, yeah, we've been the better side here. We've been caught by 2 quality goals. We can come out second half and go again, because that's what it looked like. That's what the whole thing felt like. And it was the 2 sucker punch early goals, and then you could see the belief drain away. And after that, it's you're going through the motions. And again, it never looked like we were coming back, because we didn't reproduce the good form that we showed in the first half. But it's not like the walls haven't all fell in on us. I don't think we're in any big trouble here. I just feel like they can see where the problems are now, and there is an emphasis for me on them to try and lift everybody. Go and get the marquee signing. Go and lift the players. Make the best players believe that you mean business by going out and scoring the players that you need to get. I think it's so important now. This next 2-3 weeks are so important for our season, and sack off Wednesday. Forget Birmingham. Forget it. I'm not interested. I don't care. Put anyone out. Put Faxon in goal. Do what you want. But honestly, get them back on and firing next Saturday, because there is still ability in this team, and get yourself players through the door. Help the fans, help the players, help the club by getting your hand in your bloody pocket, because you've taken enough out. Now put something back in, please. That's
Lee's, and he has been consistent in saying the same. He was originally saying 2 centre backs. Now we know that, we think that Robbo's going. He thinks we need 8 players. Is it that bad? We're not going to get 8. I'll be amazed if we get 8. I think we might, out of his list, I think we might get 2 centre halves, 1 right back. I think we'll get 1 centre midfielder and maybe a right winger. I think that's what we'll end up with. And maybe a striker, which I don't think we necessarily need, as I've talked about.
We get One out then, don't you?
Yeah.
You bring a right forward in, and that, you get One
out on loan.
Yeah, in League One.
That's what he needs, don't you, Dave?
Pardon?
You think that's what he needs, don't you?
I do. I think he needs to go out into League One for a full season, build himself up that way, rather than shoehorning him on that left-hand side.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm going to see if there's any last few comments we can get. I'm sorry that I'm having to miss so many out tonight, but it's been quite a heated discussion, as you'll understand. Let's have a look. Home Funk says, "Get Robinson gone. I've no clue on how he's lasted this long. He's a thug who Nell carried, baffling people, have him as a leader, awful character." Look, this might surprise you that I'm about to say this, but a lot of people do rate. I don't rate him as a player particularly, but and I've talked about him tonight, a fair bit. But in terms of being a reliable Championship defender, I think he is that, and I think that's why Wrexham are buying him. I think he very rarely, as ironic as this sounds today, he very rarely gets injured. I think he's quite reliable in that regard. I think he's definitely got a mistake in him. If you're at the top end of the Championship, I'm not confident in him being in your side, but I think this is his level. I think Wrexham would be a good move for him. They can afford his wages, which are quite high. I don't think his wages are relative to his ability, in my opinion. And we need to replace him. We need to get somebody in to replace him before we let him go, because he starts in our current setup. He has to start because he's the only first team recognised centre half that can partner Bindon. Because otherwise we are so short. So I think it's a little bit harsh to label him a thug, Home Funk. To be fair, I don't think he's an accomplished footballer at the top end of the Championship, but it's not one for just picking holes. DT says, "Problem is Mountain. Where are we signing? We haven't shown much interest in the signings we need. That's what hurts. We're not hearing it, are we? But there's a lot of time left to go in the window. Lads, are you going to give me something positive before we go tonight? Because I know it's
Yes.
been a little bit sort of, understandably so, criticism heavy after such a terrible performance. But Dave, you were keen to give us some decent outlook here, weren't you?
You know
Go on,
what?
pal.
Everything up until 5:25 yesterday was brilliant. What a great afternoon in the fan zone, meeting a load of people, seeing a load of people I've not seen since May, catching up. A fantastic set by Matilda Shakes. Thought it was great. Loved it.
And Johnny Blade as well. I thought were really good.
Johnny Blade. You guys missed the keep you up competition. Aaron got involved in, so as a proud dad sort of thing, watching him get up in front of it was
good lad.
Still reasonably busy at that time, but him having the confidence to get in front of people and have a go at it.
Not only that, got himself a Matilda Shakes poster and a drumstick from the drummer.
There was a couple of goes before him who did 100. So for him to still think I'm going to have a go at this and there's no point. So I think he was about 14 or something who did it. Good look, good control and stuff. So proud dad moment.
Brilliant.
It was just a really really nice afternoon to that point. And that's what I should take away from the day, and I'll forget about the football. So we have a great fan base. It's a great community. Let's just make sure, please, as a bit of a call within some of the groups and online, that we remember we are a fan base and we're in it together, and to not take the frustration of a result or a performance out on each other, especially if, like we've disagreed on things tonight. We might disagree on who we think's at fault for a goal or who could have done better or whatnot. Let's just remember that we can think differently, and that's okay, and just to keep it.
That's part of the fun, isn't it? That's part of the fun. It's not part of the fun when your team's losing, but to have different opinions and
I love being challenged. I love
me coming on here, mate, tonight and saying I was right and you two were wrong about needing some experience in the back line. It's glorious.
You'd say it eventually, but I know I love that when we do these things, or we have the chats with other people, we do the hot topics and that kind of thing, and people come on with something and you think, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
I can see where you're coming from. So let's just try and, whenever we go through these sticky spells, just remember that we are one fan base. We're not fighting with each other. We're trying to do it together.
Well said, mate. Well said, Mr. Mountain. Any parting thoughts, or can you not beat that?
I think the good thing from my point of view is that it's happened in the first game, and it's not happening 6-7 games in when the window's shut. I think there's still time for things to change, and there's time to make the changes that are required for us to be competitive this season. And I'd much rather lose like that today than just before Christmas or in 2 months' time, because there's still plenty that we can do about it. And let's face it, Sayers may have been led into a false sense of security in pre-season. He's seen the evidence of what we certainly need. Hopefully he can see that. Hopefully the board can see that and back him all the way. And we can see some changes made at that part of the pitch, because other than that, I think it wasn't a 4-1 game by any stretch. And I feel like it could have been very different, but they've got to plug the holes and the gaps that have been that are clearly there, and stuff that we've been on about for ages. Sayers can definitely see now, and he's almost come out in the press and said it. So that's the best part of it. We've still got 3 weeks to get his house in order, ready for a 46 game season. So that's one of 46, and let's just remember that as well. There's a long way to go.
Yeah, well said. And I think it is that the manner of the defeat, rather than the 4-1 sounds horrendous. And we were cut open for the goals, but we knew we'd be vulnerable in defence. And ultimately, it could have been a very different scoreline had Bristol City not been as good at the back. You have to say that as well. And we'd have been a bit more clinical, and we'd have had a bit of luck, I think we have to say as well, because sometimes it's the way the ball bounces for you. And I think sometimes it just wasn't going to be our day yesterday, and we have to take that on the chin. But that is it. That is the last time we're going to talk about Bristol City in terms of a match breakdown. We may refer back to it and say, hopefully at the end of the season we're saying Can't believe we finished top. Can you imagine? Would we have thought this when we played Bristol City first game of the season? So that's the aim now for the season. We've got to look back on it as, wow, imagine where it could have been. And yeah, let's hope we're having a completely different conversation to this around that time. So thank you to everybody for joining us. I've been on stream now a total of about 4 hours out of the last 4.5. So I think I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a rest from my face. But actually, nearly forgot, but do join me on the channel on Ramble FC tomorrow for a bit of this. Yorkshire's finest. We're making our debut as a sort of dual stream. This is going out on Ramble FC and Cal Fowler's channel. Make sure you come on through Ramble FC. That's the best way to watch it. And yeah, join me and Cal as we review all of the weekend's action, which I'm clearly looking forward to. He's gonna let me off. I think he's not really going to mention anything about how Sheffield United got on. So first one, we need to stay mates, don't we? So yeah, join us for that. That should be really good. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Boys.
Up the consortium, sort this out.